Welcome to Center of Light, all you beautiful Yanovites, on this Thursday night. Good to see you. Welcome to Center of Light, Center of Divine Unfoldment and Reinforcement. Strap in all my brother and sister astral knots as we launch for inner space. Center of Light Radio. This is my, oh my God, 10th year. Started off as a Searcher's Roadmap, and then shortly after, I changed it to Center of Light. It felt like me. This radio show was given to me to take over from a friend of mine who was done. So after about 4 months of that, I said, can I change the name? He said, absolutely, it's yours. Center of Light. Radio to stimulate your soul and the transformation station. Hello, everyone. I want to get right down to Center of Light radio business. I got a couple of adverts I need to make really quickly. Hello, everyone. This is not like a normal presentation, obviously, to where I like to acknowledge everyone. So hello, everyone. I love you. You're beautiful to me, and you're integral to me. It's good to be me. Is it good to be you? Also, y'all did a presentation last night in the cave, Spiritual Samadhi, Communion with God, titled, what was the title? A Storm is Coming. The Amazon rainforest is burning. It's on fire. And I've seen people counterpoint every time someone posted about the rainforest. Well, it's a natural cycle. Things burn all the time. There's fires all over the world that we never hear about. No. The rainforest is on fire. So the question becomes, what do I do about it? I'm just a person with a 9-to-5 grind, or I do whatever it is, that's my day. And I'm just this person. What can I do about it? There's plenty you can do about it. Step back from the nonsense of the monkey mind. Breathe. Illuminate an image of the world with all the children of the world holding hands, uniting. See the earth as healthy, happy, whole, and complete. That's what you can do. You can pray. Don't pray from, oh my God, please take this away from me. Pray from the perspective of, or the platform of, I am clear. My vision is clear. You profit you. And guess who profits from it all? You do. Welcome to Center of Light Radio. Here's my adverts for tonight. I am going to be launching a brand new 6 weeks Bust You White Open course. Sounds aggressive, doesn't it? Well, actually, it's passive. Maybe we can call it passive aggressive. 6 weeks Bust You White Open course. Let me look for my course. Do I have that on this particular scene? I don't. Contact me in this forum, inbox me, or KeithAnthonyBlanchard@gmail. I'm going to be launching very soon. Dana has already paid for her entry. Other people are interested, so I got them on the list. Soon I will be sending details. I'm not going to put this off. I have as many spaces available, but this is probably going to happen within a month. I'd say a month. Let's make it a month. 6 weeks course. First week, introduction. 4 weeks of intensive, extensive. I'm going to give you 4 models. You're going to have immediate experience. Question and answer with me. It requires one thing, a very small fee for a life-changing experience. Small. I will take payments. Oh my God, Keith, you're talking about payments. This is going to be costly. No, payments are for your benefit. It will be beyond reasonable. First week, introductory, hello everyone kind of thing. I get the feel of where everybody's at, toss some ideas around. 4 weeks, intensive, extensive. The 6th week is going to be an overview, or rather, not an interview, but an interview of what everyone has gleaned. I promise you, you will not be the same individual after 6 weeks. Not that you're broken, you won't be the same individual. September 21st and 22nd, Spiritual Expo in Memphis. 4 Points Spiritual Expo put on by Circle of Chi. That's Circle of QI, Circle of Chi. You can find that on the internet, Facebook. You can always contact me. $20 for 2 days, $15 per day. Keynote speakers, Dr. Rita Louise. She's a powerhouse, like my guest you're going to experience for yourself tonight. Dr. Jason Rand, Larry Flaxman, Discovery Channel, Ancient Aliens. Lynette Marie, Medicine Woman. She's all about some preventative medicine, health. And yours truly, we're going to be talking about radical transformation. If I can touch you, you're in trouble. Because I'm going to throw you into the fire. Radical transformation. Circle of Chiefs, Circle of QI. You can contact me in this forum, personal inbox, and again, at KeithAnthonyBlanchard@gmail. Gemstones, art photography, sound and light vibration therapy, readers, art photography. I think I said that. And I think I said it twice because I love the idea and I'm going to get mine done. So forth and so on. But the agenda is not that you take away something, that you go buy something, which is cool. Everybody likes stuff. I like stuff. We like stuff. So we bring stuff to remind us of a space we visited where we went to the 4 Point Spiritual Expo. But what's most integral and important is what you take away from it is a very integrated part of yourself. I have all faith in Victoria Smith. I've done some psychic work around it, and this is going to be beyond successful. Sunday night, 6 p.m., we're going to have a speaker panel of the keynote speakers. And we're going to be talking about everything powerful for our present day and our near future. Finally, September 25th, Swamiji Viswayogi. What you are looking at is God on earth today. You're looking at Jesus. You're looking at Buddha. You're looking at Krishna. He's on earth today. Come to Memphis. It doesn't cost you anything except your road trip if you're from out of town. Question and answer with the divine. What is the state of the world? I'm going to be fashioning questions around this idea to ask God directly. What about the Amazon rainforest? What can we actually do? What about Fukushima? What can we do? They're spraying the skies. What can we do? This is not from a political bashing standpoint. That doesn't go anywhere except deep into the nonsense. You are here to illuminate us, my beloved Lord. So now that I have your attention and I am your audience, what do we do to change everything so we can become the embodiment of the prophecy of heaven on earth? Welcome to Center of Light Radio. Let me call my guest. I usually do a commercial at this point, but I'm not gonna. I love that music.
Hello.
I do not see your angelic face, hun. Is there something you have muted?
Let's try this.
Oh shit, everyone. You are in for a treat. I call Hillary the same as I said about Dr. Rita Louise. A powerhouse. And I really mean that. She is connected. And everything she dabbles in, I use that word dabble loosely because she's very serious about her dabbling. She takes a golden shovel into whatever rabbit hole she ventures in. And she's going to say, yes, Keith, you're correct. When the rabbit hole ends, she will pull out that shovel and she will dig a little further until she finds exactly what satisfies her craving in that moment. And she doesn't stop there and she digs further. There is an amazing, huge bio on Hillary. Let me give you the gist of it. There's not enough time in our life to go through what she is, what she does. Tonight we are speaking with Hillary Raimo, Designing Your Inner Landscape. As a painter and photographer, Hilary Raimo never sees the world the same way twice. Her work has been shown in Albany Center Gallery, Street Gallery Saratoga Springs, Yaddo exhibit taking flight, curated by Tristan Kirvin, and is regularly featured in the traveling exhibits in the Schenectady, I love it, Schenectady Photographic Society. Recently, Hilary's work earned an honorable mention award at the 2018 Fence, all capital words, Fence, Select Exhibit hosted by the Arts Center of the Capital Region. She credits her art residency at Atelier de la Rosée in Montcabrier France. I'm doing my best, Hilary. I'm trying not to butcher this. 2015, for opening her artistic eye. Hello. And changing how she sees, it's important that we look as well. Power and beauty in her images. Oh my God, I'm in love. A multi-medium artist, Hilary hopes to instill a purpose to her images, whether they be paintings or photographs. And her bio goes this long. She's an excellent radio show host. She's had extraterrestrial. She's been on terrestrial radio. She's an author of 3 books, so forth and so on. I can just continue. Hello, beautiful lady. Welcome to Center of Light Radio yet again in this new way.
Hello. Hi, Keith. Thanks for having me. Really happy to be here.
Well, the first thing I want to do is give you your kudos, not that I haven't already, by announcing your bio. I want to now drop into the forum your website where you can be found so everyone can resound and expound on more of what you are doing, dear. Hello, sweetheart. What's happening with you? Tell me about this designing your... Actually, let me refresh my page real quick. My Facebook has been a little wonky. And there we go. Hilary, because you, believe it or not, you know how long we've been knowing each other? Quite a while.
Long time. Yeah, long time. Yeah.
And I know a lot about you, but my listening audience does not. Give us just a snippet of what really is you and how you got on this path to, I don't like you throwing that word around, ascension. It gets all freaking wobbly. What got you into this place that you're here with me, having this beautiful time with these beautiful people?
Well, I think we met through radio years and years and years ago. I started on terrestrial radio in 2005 here in upstate New York. And 2008, I went to Achieve Radio, and I stayed there for the next decade. And I guest produced and hosted on several different online platforms. And I think we met each other along that path. So it was radio that brought us together, really. You know, you find yourself doing something for long enough, you end up doing it with a lot of love and passion. And my radio career has spanned over 12, 13 years. And I'm now on KCAA, which is an NBC News radio affiliate station in Los Angeles in Southern California. So I do a live show on Tuesdays, and I bring guests on still, and just doing what we do. I mean, this is where we are. This is our path. This is who you are. This is who I am. Along the way, I have done, you say dabbled, but I've done a lot I have a lot of logs in the fire. So I work with cannabis advocacy now. I work with art. I've been showing in New York this summer. I think that's something that's new. I went out of the upstate market and went down into the city for a little while to work with some galleries. So I don't know, my work is kind of spread out, but it's all, for me, it's all the same. It's all part of the same package that just kind of follows beauty and truth and being able to connect to people in a way that's powerful and help give information out into the world. I think that's why I started my radio show. Back in 2005, I had found my way to David Icke's work and read through his books. And I mean, I just came out of that journey needing an outlet to express myself, and radio was right there in my face. So I said yes, and the rest is history. And I have met you over the years many times on the air. You've come on my show, I've come on your show.
Yes.
So, we've had some interactions that have been very meaningful over the years.
And this is actually our first time of actually talking in real time with each other as far as being able to see. Hillary, I want to go over this real quick just because it's personal to you and me, because I want to understand your place, which I already do, and you do me. I follow you. I trust me, I do, and I'll prove it to you. Not that I need to prove it to you, but I saw a few years ago, year and a half, that you got tired and frustrated and basically pissed off and just aggravated with the nonsense that happens in music, the nonsense that happens in radio, the nonsense that happens in any corporation when it's all about the bling, bling, bling. And you were like, I'm done with all this nonsense. I've had some prima donnas come. I mean, they would have an associate sit in the chair and do their sound check, and the show is fired up. And so let me introduce John Doe or Jill Doe to the show. And their associate is still sitting in the chair, and they ease their way into the chair and come. I'm like, I get it. I'm not in such a hurry, but there's an order, there's a respect. And like you, I got tired of it, so I gave it quite a break for a while. And I saw that you were interested in posting and doing radio shows about normal people, everyday people versus these authors and these blown up kind of people. And I want to say thank you. I understand it, and what makes us think for a moment that some of these normal people don't have a spiritual delicious nugget that can expand someone's life into a great state of ecstasy. So what made you decide to come back to radio? Just the love of it?
Well, the opportunity. I had the opportunity to go into a more mainstream network and have the support of that. And I felt that was really part of where I was at. And the reason I wasn't angry and upset when I left, but I knew I was done. I enjoyed being a guest on a show more than I enjoyed being a host, to be honest with you, because it was easier for me to talk and get the things out that, I was able to talk about. And so when I left radio, I had decided to write a book. So I wrote a book. I put some transcripts together and picked 20 of my favorite shows over the course of my long radio career, and decided to preserve them in a way that was kind of like taking a chunk of time and information and content and putting it into a publication that can never be changed, can never be deleted, can never be flagged by YouTube. What I was watching really was more about content censorship, YouTube flagging material. Suddenly there was this kind of tsunami of trying to get people off the air. And I watched myself and some of my friends go through a lot of that. And I felt that we were headed into a very slippery slope when it came to alternative media and content and people who were content producers. And when YouTube went corporate, it was flag after flag for demonetization. And, we have to really consider the journey of Alex Jones, who was one of us at one point. And, I don't know who was funding him for all of his radio channels at the height of his career. However, the fact that they were able to take down his platform over the last year really just made me jump back into it, I think, because I realized really quickly that we were watching the systematic takedown of people like you and I who do free podcasts and broadcasts and things of that sort that bring alternative information to the forefront, where you don't get just the establishment side of the story. When we look at headlines or we look at social media, a lot of the times we find ourselves watching clickbait material, things that really just social media has completely changed in the last 2 years. So I was watching all of this kind of go on, and I felt that, if I came back on the air, I had to have a distinct purpose. I didn't want to just interview people for the sake of interviewing people. I wanted to have intent and purpose for coming back on the air. So when I came back on the air, I started a cannabis advocacy series by interviewing expert speakers and people who travel around the country and educate medical professionals on the endocannabinoid system, which isn't even taught in medical school to any of our doctors or nurses. So I've done a lot of work in that sense. So when it comes to helping and getting material out there, I just feel like radio for me is really part of what it's all about. So I came back on the air for 6 months, and I'm producing 6 months worth of shows. And I'm going through a series of really picking and vetting the material I want to talk about. Nobody designs my shows. I pay for my own airtime. Nobody funds me. I work for nobody. And it feels freeing to be able to come to a network.
Let me ask you
like
this, darling.
ACA.
Let me ask you this. I'm loving it. I'm just loving it. You remind me of me. Let me feel my ego right there, but you remind me of me. I love your passion for what you're doing. I love that you use that word and you use it passionately, and it helps people to realize that when you step onto a course, an inner course, and you're really serious about that, the whole universe begins to conspire. But you mentioned that you're a free agent, you don't owe anybody, you have all complete say. You and your sovereignty, I love it. But what would you describe as an overall theme? And of course, it varies, and you're flexible, and you like different things that you, again, dabble in or go back. But what would you say would be the motto or the theme of your show?
Well, it's really about taking a look at certain topics and going deeper into them. That I don't have a motto. I'm not trying to do a spiritual guru show or anything like that. I just want to have conversations with people who are experts in their field or have some kind of knowledge on a topic that my curiosity or my attention has gotten onto. So I just kind of follow my own inner vetting, I guess you could say, and I really am very carefully selective in who I bring on the show and who I talk to now. So that's a little different. I mean, before I had lots of opportunities, lots of authors, people who were doing really great things, and like for example, Reiki. People know what Reiki is now, but back when in 2005, it wasn't so commonly known as it is now. So I would bring healers on and people to talk about the body and the healing system. So as far as a motto goes, I don't really have a motto. It's Real Talk Radio. So whoever I decide to bring on as a guest, we have real conversations about whatever it is that they specialize in. And we go from there and we produce a 60-minute show. And I'm really enjoying it, actually. I'm enjoying talking to the people that I have on my show. And the real talk aspect has to do with not really being censored in anything that we're talking about, being able to discuss the digital age, the way that I see it progressing, the way other people see it progressing. And I think that the context of those conversations are very helpful to my listeners. They seem to enjoy it greatly.
Yeah, I didn't really mean motto. I was looking for words in my scrambling for a word to just ask you about the overview of what you're doing. So Hillary, if we would, everyone, and let me grab this link again. I really love talking with her. I mean, she is so full of information. She's a powerhouse. I love the idea of powerhouse, and I really mean that because, and there's not a conversation that she can not only hang with, but sort of, and I use this in the right manner, intimidate those who are in the conversation that are experts, because she's been in radio. Like me, she's been in radio, and we get to do this free, so to speak, to learn from all these experts in the field. Hillary, if we would, let's move into designing your inner landscape. What is this all about?
Really, it's about creativity and finding the access to your creative power and being able to express that in some way. So designing your inner landscape really is more about knowing yourself, being able to go inward, and being able to feel through your emotional landscape, and then somehow bring that out of you in some creative form that expresses it and transmutes it into a beautiful act of something.
So this is sort of a spiritual, emotional alchemy.
Yeah, you could say that. I mean, it's about uncovering and discovering yourself at deeper levels. When I do, like, for example, an artist retreat, and I have people come and we gather for a few days and we go through the artistic process, we really are designing our inner landscape because we're either exploring it maybe for the first time, or we've done it for a few times, or maybe this is, old news to you. But people go in and they come out and they put things on canvas or paper or whatever we're working on. And the things that come out are really sometimes just incredible. And I think that it's the easiest way to really guide people or facilitate or moderate an experience that allows people to go within without having to translate it for them. I see way too many people going into the guru stance where they are the first and the last say of whatever it is you're experiencing. And a lot of people tend to give their power away to people like that. And it just becomes a very entangled experience. And so art for me has become a really great avenue of being able to facilitate kind of a spiritual experience, but you're not coming out.
Let me ask you this question, Angel. Let me ask you this question, Angel. This is cool, and I think you're going to appreciate this question. I'm going to give myself a pat on the back for it. Mm-hmm. I kind of think I know what you're going to say, but I want to ask this from the audience's point of view, so they can. When you talk about spiritual, designing your inner landscape, is it? And I know I'm already know. It's not a passing of a word. You're not just throwing this word like design your spiritual landscape as an artist, as a photographer, as a creator. When you're designing your spiritual landscape, your inner landscape, are you actually seeing it from an art point of view? In other words, Hillary wants to design her inner landscape for this new season, because sometimes we change our altar, right? So do you actually see it inside of you as a future picture that you're about to start creating? How you're doing that?
Sometimes, yeah. Sometimes. I mean, it depends. It's there really isn't any one way to do this, but when I facilitate this as a event type thing, I will invite people to think on or ponder or muse certain aspects of whatever it is we're doing. So for example, if we're working with the shadow and we're working with being inspired by doing shadow work, then we're going into the landscapes that maybe are more sad or depressed, or things that maybe make us feel uncomfortable that we would consider shadow aspects. Anger is one of those. People perceive anger in a really dysfunctional way most of the time. But when you look at anger as a force of like more of a laser focused force versus bringing everything in that's happened to you in the last decade or so and using it incorrectly as a force, these kind of things are where people go into themselves and they have to be honest with what they see, and they have to look around, and it's individual to each person. So what I experience for myself may not be what you experience or somebody else experiences. However, it's all valid and it's all worthy material, and to be able to transmute it creatively is really just, I have found to be a wonderful resource for people to heal, to empower themselves, to find clarity and focus in their lives as far as relationships and stability goes. I mean, I don't know about you, but like the New Age movement has kind of let me down over the years. I mean, I feel like a lot of, I do.
Yeah, I know.
That's why. Because they really just ask mostly for you to hand over your money and your time and your loyalty and follow them around to all their different events and do all this. Now, for somebody who does events, I can understand the business of it and the marketing aspect. But I don't think I think we've outgrown the need for the guru or for we have to do it this way set of rules for religious type spirituality. And I think we're coming into our own when it comes to having to realize that our natural raw state of being is already perfect, and we don't need to make it go away or deny the body. We really have been kind of hoodwinked in that a little bit. Maybe we can talk about that down the road. But as far as designing your inner landscape, you can decide which landscapes you want to navigate when you're doing creative work. So if I'm working on a painting and I want to do a creative landscape, I go inside and what am I going to pull out from my creative material? Well, it usually has to do with some emotionally charged thing. So instead of getting rid of our emotions or trying to, overcome them as if there's something bad and demeaning about them, we actually embrace the emotional aspect and allow that energy to express itself. And what comes out, and usually what comes out in artwork, is quite astounding.
Hillary, thank you so much. Something you said earlier, you described me under the dictionary of, not anymore, but on a very rare occasion, under the dictionary you might see anger. And it's not an uncontrolled, unconscious anger. I'm not going to lie. Some of that's kind of how it triggers me into that space. When I understand the landscape of it all, as to why I'm triggered, I'm using that word, quote, but if I have something I want to say or express in my past, I have and probably will if it ever occurs again, I call it divine anger. Doesn't make it right, but it makes me conscious of the fact that this energy is moving through my system. The last thing I wanted to do is put its meat hooks into me, and so it begins to become static and frozen. I want to take action as it's happening so I can have it begin continually thaw. And so I would even tell the people who I might express such powerful energy to, this is not about you, this is about me. Please step aside. I'm just venting. I'm just expressing. It's not about you. It's not personal.
Yeah.
I'm just saying this loud thing because, well, why do you have to be so loud? Because, when someone doesn't understand your language, if they're from Iceland, we have a tendency to speak louder, thinking our English language is going to help them to hear it better. So I understand all these different variables. But I even ask whoever I'm, quote, upset with in the moment, it's not you. In fact, just step aside. Just let me bitch for about 5 minutes, and then I'll go buy you a beer and lunch, and we're going to be back on the same page. So I understand that. So thank you for giving me some relief about how I feel about such things sometimes.
You're welcome. I think we have a big problem with anger, especially in our modern day culture. We think anger is something really bad, that it defines us in a way that should make us shame-filled. And I have to disagree with that, because I think there is such thing as righteous anger. I mean, you have the right to be. I'm pretty mad right now that the Amazon forest is on fire and it's been burning for 3 weeks, and we haven't sent every single possible resource down there to put it out. So I'm angry about that. And when I talk about it, or I post about it, or I put something out there, I carefully choose my words. I don't just go off on a tangent, but some people do, and that's how they express it. Getting mad about leadership issues has been really popular the last couple of years, especially, and finding ways to release that anger about how you feel. The digital age and the internet provide quite an interesting and powerful platform to be able to express that. But when we get angry in front of each other, face to face, we all know how we act when we get angry to someone, and when we're not on video, we're not being recorded. There's no pictures to post for Instagram. I mean, it's there. We have to remember that we aren't our digital identities, and that's one of the things that I've taken on the road to talk about a lot lately, especially since my book came out, because you can talk about
what book are
censorship.
what book are you referring to for our listening audience? What book
Oh,
are you
I'm
talking
sorry.
about?
My last book was released last year. It's called The Hillary Raimo Show Transcripts. It's 20
That's right. That's right.
conversations on technology, ETs, time travel, consciousness. So there's a good mix of information in the book, and I chose the 20 people to put in the book very intentionally. So the people who've actually taken the time to read it have come back with really great feedback on how
I would love to
important
have you back
hindsight
on Center
can
of
be.
Light Radio and we talk about consciousness, ETs, time travel. That would just be so fun with you.
Well, dinner parties are fun with me, especially if you get sat at my table, because I really enjoy instigating conversation and encouraging the free
So you
expression,
are a
however you
so you
feel.
are a spiritual troublemaker. For those who are just not
No,
interested in
I'm
that
not.
conversation.
But
My point is we're having wine and we're having a wonderful supper and there's 3 or 4 of us that really like that kind of conversation. There's 7 or 8 of the others who are like, that's some spiritual woo woo, and we just
I
start
don't
kind of
invite
like
those people to my house. Like if I'm having a dinner
right,
party,
right.
I
Yeah.
selectively and carefully choose the people I have come for conversation. You won't find any uncomfortables at my table, which is great. And I think that's kind of part of growing up in media. It's part of growing up talking to people. You know, you're having one conversation a week even for 12 years, 13 years, 14, 15 years really is a spiritual path in itself. So I can claim that because I've done that. That's my body of work. You know, not everybody has done what I've done. Not everybody does radio. I was doing online and terrestrial radio before social media really even began to blow up, and we didn't have Facebook Live and all that. Um, so I feel like, you know, if you want to come have a conversation with me, you should probably know who I am and what I've talked about over the years. And if you do, you'll have a much better conversation with me.
Yeah, either you will show up on fire and ready to get into conversation, or you will say, "Thank you very much for the invitation. Hope to see you." Everyone, Keith Anthony Blanchard here, Center of Light Radio, and I'm speaking with, for the first time in a video fashion, and actually get to see her in real time, have a conversation with me. As she said, usually it's on podcasts or terrestrial radio. And we've done a number of those throughout the years. I'm just going to pick a number. Let's say 8. No, in fact, the reason how I met Hillary when social media first got its groove and its walk on, I contacted her here and there every so often. And I, after a while, I don't think they said, okay, let's give in. It happened. And so we've been doing interviews of each other for quite a long time. So I'm really enjoying my dialogue with her tonight. We're speaking about designing your inner landscape, looking at your reality. Out here, that's important
Mm-hmm.
because it's a sounding board about what's going on here. So in contrast between out here and in here, a third something happens. And that third something is that you go so far deep within, inward is upward, upward is forward, that your inner landscape, you don't actually design it, which you do, but by default of falling further in, it simply lays itself out and says, you have been calling for me, and I am here. Center of Light Radio, we're going to be right back with my guest, Hillary Raimo, and we're going to be speaking more about designing your inner landscape, and I'm willing to go any direction she wants to go. I think I can hang. At this time of what's happening in the rainforest, listen to me. Everyone, listen to me. Listen to Hillary. As teachers, we are saying, the rainforest is on fire. Your divine mother's lungs are burning. What can I do? You take that question in with you with a golden shovel into the rabbit hole tonight. When you lay your head down, simply the answer will be revealed. We need to breathe. My spiritual band, Lavender Soul, we're coming out with a brand new album. Working titles called Atmosphere, comprised of members of the Memphis Symphony Orchestra. Hold on tight, y'all. It's about to get real. Breathe. Open your eyes, open your heart. Breathe. Breathe, breathe, breathe.
Are we taking a break? Is this a break? Can I? Am I like live right now? Okay, I'll be right back.
Trust that I will guide you in whatever you do. Just remember to breathe and do your very best to live in love, give in love,
Okay, I'm back.
be in love. and love you shall receive.
So what are they seeing right now? They're seeing all the video that you have on here?
They're hearing you and I have a discussion.
Oh, they're here. Hi, everybody. Sorry.
Exactly. I love it. It's perfect.
This is live radio footage.
Yeah.
I like the video footage. How do you do this? You have to tell me how you do this.
I would love to.
That's how I was doing it.
What I want to be and see, what I want to see and want, knowing God is by my side.
Who's that guy?
There is nothing
My singer?
I need to
Oh, this is your band.
Yes, it's my original band.
Together, far away with an audience and making
all the
commentary.
wisdom is in my soul. All along I
That's my son.
Oh, he's beautiful.
He's now 14.
Oh my gosh. His
Time
grandma's
has
there.
told me every day
He's an angelic boy.
to breathe and expand myself to know there is no one else but me, and God
By the way,
knows
looking
in
at
my
a picture
heart.
of a landscape in nature is not the same thing as experiencing it.
I couldn't hear you. I'm sorry.
Oh, no, that's okay.
Welcome back to Center of Light Radio. Yo. Good to see you, everyone. You beautiful, sexy human creatures. My name is Keith Anthony Blanchard. Yanava. You see Yanava under this video. What does that mean? Ya. I asked this many years ago when I first got my walk started. In a meditation, I was passionate. I wanted the syrup on the pancake and turn the whole bottle upside down, kind of thing. And in a meditation, I asked God, Spirit, higher self, whatever you want to call it, it doesn't matter. That thing, what is my essence? What is the name? Does it have a name? Is there a vibrational tone that it would sound like? And it said Yanava. So when I met Swamiji, God realized man from India, and when I mentioned this to him, he said, he was almost taken back that I knew that. He said, listen to me very carefully. He proceeded to tell me that Ya, Nava, Ya is the sound of the heart. Ya, John, Juan, Ya, heart, will, God. Okay? Na is the mind, discernment, intelligence, reason, when it's used in balance, outside of the monkey mind. Va is the backbone. So when you wake up in the morning, you plant your feet on the floor and you say inside of yourself, plant yourself inside of me forevermore, then that Yanava of yourself, your soul, your ancient tone of who we are begins to step forward. Yanava. To all of you, tonight we're speaking with my dear friend over many years in radio, Yo-Yo, designing your inner landscape with Hillary Raimo. Welcome back to Center of Light, Precious.
Hi, everybody.
What do you want to talk about? You and I are hanging out, having some wine and a bite of food. What does Hillary want to talk about?
Well, where is my focus right now? I guess I like to talk about that. I've been doing some work, going through some current event stuff, and as I look through it, I tend to find intuitively places that I like to go and look and research. I'm a good researcher. I like to go in and dig through things to try to find the layers that I can sense are there. So I've been working with some people and discussing some of the Epstein cases going on and getting some of that awareness out of trafficking and all that stuff. And I don't take a side. I'm not right or left. I don't complain or blame it on one person or two people. I mean, we're looking at really the underbelly of humanity when we start to talk about things like that. And one of the things I realized very quickly is that not everybody likes to talk about these things. These are very difficult topics to talk about. So, I'll feel somebody out, and if I don't think they're ready to really go down that rabbit hole, I don't even bring it up. I don't talk about it because not everybody can, and it's hard on some people. But
Let me ask you this, Hillary, and I mean this honestly. As a host, trying to stimulate conversation. Mm-hmm. I understand it. As you and I, we both understand it. I don't want to upset you and throw something into your baseball field, a pitch at you that you're not ready to swing at. I get it. Honestly,
so what's your question?
Exactly. Aren't those the type of scenarios that we need, quote, to bring up those things, to invite those who don't want to swing at such a pitch to actually somewhat be ready to bat?
Yeah, I do. I think you got to at some point you just got to cut through the fluff, and you have to get real with not only yourself and your and all that, but you have to get real with what's going on in the planet so that you can be an effective influencer in helping. And if you're not, then you're just basically posting things on social media, probably ranting and raving. And what good really does that do except get a bunch of other ranters and ravers together, and you attract that just like anything else,
yes.
Right? So, I mean, I haven't found a lot of helpfulness in posting and using social media that way because it's very easy for algorithms and platforms to basically just turn your dial down so that you don't get interactions. And I think that we're looking at tech giants coming into our experience, into our homes, into our relations, into all these things, into our children's lives even, and trying to find some kind of invasive line that they connect to. So where is my focus? My focus is talking about that and to bring the realities of what we're facing. Some people don't want to talk about that. Some people don't care if I post anything. I think radio has been a really good outlet to talk about stuff like this because people will tune in and listen to a conversation. Video is a little bit different because when you're on video, people are looking at you, they're looking at your face, they're looking at all the things behind you, they're distracted. And when you use your voice on radio and you carry that conversation with another person, especially if it's well done, then you have a really prime opportunity for people to observe a conversation and get something worthy out of it so that they can be better informed, maybe have a different perspective. So if you were to sit down and have a conversation with me right now, you would probably have to figure out what I'm focused on and what I'm doing, and we'd have to talk about that. So that's what I've been focused on, and that's what I've been producing shows on. So I have a pretty good interest in talking about this stuff, but not in the way that drags it through the mud or, for showmanship or for attention or anything like that. I think there's a ways to get across information without having to rah it up and rile people up and get people upset. You have to be able to have these conversations and talk about the tough things and maintain your groundedness and not stick your head in the sand like an ostrich.
I was on Facebook today, as we all are. We're Facebook junkies. Why? Because we love connecting. We love socializing. It's the natural. But on Facebook today, Hillary, I saw a friend of mine, acquaintance, very young man, very good in his spirituality, very influential, and he's really good at it. But when you talked about the algorithms of social media, not only are there algorithms, there are people watching. And the point is, he made a post, I'm going live in a few minutes kind of thing. So it's not about the dialogue, and it's not about the fonts, and it's not about the characters of the letters that's creating this algorithm. There was a picture of Buddha in this meditation, and it had, I'm going to use the term swastika because I don't know the actual original name. So the Germans actually turned the swastika around backwards, upside down, in and out, and contorted it into this thing because the swastika, or whatever it's actually called primordially, is about truth. But anyway, the fact that this thing sat on Buddha's chest, they blocked him and threw him in jail. So not only is this a numbers game, there are people watching. They saw this image.
Content, Keith. What it really is it's content. And what you're going to watch over the next few years, and even whoever ends up being in office for the new election, you're going to watch a continuation of scrubbing information off of the internet. I mean, we are really going to be very similar, if we haven't already gotten there, to other countries that really censor and limit your access and reach and your ability to use the internet in a way that is helpful in getting information out like it used to be. There was a time when you could use online internet connections and networking and social media when they first started. It was kind of like the wild, wild west. And you could do whatever you wanted. And now you're being reined in, you're being studied, your data's collection, everybody's got data points collected on them. And last year, data collection surpassed oil as a commodity in value. So what I've been, my path has taken me into some of these web type places where I've learned infrastructure in cryptocurrencies and blockchains and different ways of building social platforms and stuff. And it's quite interesting, actually. It's very, very interesting because what you're really doing is you're designing a landscape, a digital landscape. And that's very similar to designing your own inner landscape. It's very connected. And you can psychically read some of these digital signals and you can intuitively navigate some of them. Some people can do it. Some people have no idea what I'm talking about, and that's fine, but you can. And what ends up happening is you end up finding your way to kind of a matrix that's very esoteric in nature, and it has an energy footprint to it, and you can identify it. And I mean, that's next level stuff. And I don't know if this is the right place to talk about that. But the thing that happens is your intuition starts to follow kind of a train of thought. It feels that way anyway. And then you find yourself Googling something, and then on to the next thing, on to the next thing. And you find your way to something. Let's say, for example, information, some kind of information that, oh my gosh, not too many people know this. What am I going to do with it? So then you have the choice of what you're going to do with this little nugget. Are you going to put it on your Facebook page, put it on your blog? Are you going to go tell 20 people that'll listen? I mean, it's kind of a weird scenario that's being developed with these digital online landscapes that create a consciousness that's associated with them. And once you access that consciousness, you begin to start to look at different phenomena, events. You start to see similarities, numbers involved. You start to see connections, and everybody thinks they own the connection. I thought of it first. I found my way to this first. I'm the big revealer. But it's a group consciousness because we are all connected and online together as a group. So you're not just dealing with one strain of consciousness, you're dealing with a group consciousness. And people don't really take the time to talk about how the digital age is affecting consciousness. They think they do, but they really don't. And I haven't found too many people who really do a good job of explaining it and talking about it. It's hard for me to explain it and talk about it too, but I've seen it, I've experienced it, I've watched other people get entangled with it. And sometimes you have to remember that everything is energy. And even online digital land is energy. And if you are on enough, your own consciousness, brain, mind, body, whole experience gets very connected to it. And suddenly you're kind of plugged in. And when you're plugged in and you're not conscious, you're just going to get distracted and caught up. And suddenly it's 4:00 in the afternoon and you've wasted 8 hours of your day doing nothing but Googling and talking to people on social media. But then there's the people who get caught up in research and they get caught up in finding things. And I've watched the laws change over the years. Google can collect your searches. Everybody that it has an online footprint has some kind of data collection points associated with them. Well, why does that matter? Because we're just spiritual beings having a human experience, right? Well, it matters because you are a spiritual being having a human experience. And your human experience cannot be caged up and limited to certain things. So we have to be very mindful of that. And when I say we're designing our inner landscape, we really are making choices as to which inner landscapes we want to connect with. How do we want to express them? We do have a choice to weed things out of our inner landscape gardens.
So it's about becoming a real good gardener and having a green
Basically, yeah, you can compare it to gardening. Definitely.
Love it.
Definitely. I would say that I have gardens. I work in my garden a lot. It's very meditative for me. I've grown to love it. My grandmother was a master gardener. My mother gardened. So I've kind of just stepped into it. And it's very symbolic of...
Let me ask you this. This just totally came across. Was your grandmother psychic? Is that where you got it from?
No, my grandfather was the psychic.
Yeah, because something just came through me like, oh my God, ask Hillary about this question. So anyway, please continue. I just had to ask you that.
Yeah. So my grandmother was a gardener and she was always taking care of the home and she cooked a lot. And so I think gardening really is a good analogy for consciousness in general, because you have to learn how to take care of the soil. You have to learn what nourishes the plants. You have to troubleshoot problems that could pop up, and you have to kind of get a bearing on what's going on. And it's kind of the same thing inside of you. Something pops up, something's bothering you, you're triggered by something. Well, our triggers are really nothing more than opportunities to go deeper into that particular landscape so that we can look inside of it and say, oh, I didn't realize this was here. I thought I was done with this. There's been way too much judgment put on people for struggling with things or having long-term issues with things. And I knew over the years we were going to watch a big push for mental illness and things of that sort. We've really just pushed so many people into pharmaceuticals and dealing with normal human despair. I mean, even Marianne Williamson acknowledged that on her presidential campaign, is that pharmaceuticals that want to come in and take over every taint of your brain because they've learned how to control it. They've learned how to get into your biochemistry, change it through the food system, the pharmaceuticals, all of this. Well, that's so depressing. So who really wants to think about that, right? Well, that just teaches you to make better food choices. It teaches you to be more mindful about where you put your energy and how you do that. And the people that pay attention to that stuff usually tend to be healthier and have more energy to be able to do what they're supposed to be doing instead of getting sick and watching their body kind of go downhill.
Being a spiritual gardener, it has a new meaning entirely when we talk about miracle grow. It's about tending to your soil, creating a foundation where everything that is pure potential of oneself can grow. Hillary, I just got a message. We're supposed to go for 90 minutes. We've got a few more. Would you like to give us something about your work, bringing people? And everyone I just posted back into the forum Hillary's contact information to her direct website. But is there anything you would like to leave us with as far as an outro that we can actually use, and as well as any contact information or what you were doing in the near future that we can be looking for?
Sure. I mean, the fall, I have a bunch of art shows coming up. You can see my work out there. You can contact me on Facebook, or you can send me an email. It's very simple, hillaryraimo@gmail.com. And you can go to my website. You can contact me through my website. I have some events coming up in the fall. I am doing an artist retreat in Egypt in March 2020. It's a 4-day wonderful immersion into the West Bank of Luxor. We'll be staying at the El Madeira Hotel. I'm going to be there for 2 weeks, but we're gathering a bunch of international artists to come together for 4 days to muse on the shadow and light in the temples, on the Nile, that kind of thing. It's a very informal gathering. I don't do trips the way I used to do trips, where I design every single part of a person's experience from the time they get on their flight till the time they get off work.
How much fun would that be for the person? They wouldn't feel free at all.
It takes a lot of work. So I've decided to simplify. And so my events now are much more, you do your own travel, you get there how you want, you stay where you want, you pay whatever you want to do for that. And you just come meet up at the hotel for 4 days. And we take some day excursions. We're going to go to the Valley of the Queens. And it'll be my 4th trip to Egypt. And I started going to Egypt for the first time in 2005, which was right along the time when I started my radio show. So it was a catalyst in many ways for me to start working out in the world in different ways. So I'm going to do some work next year in different countries, and if people want to find out more, they can certainly reach out and ask me, and I'd be happy to send them.
Thank you. I hope in the near future you and I can hang out in this cafe, this spiritual cafe, and we do the consciousness, extraterrestrial, and all that cool stuff that you and I would probably just have a beer and a shot of tequila over and just let it all go. That would just be fun.
We should just put that on this and let people watch that. I think people like to be voyeurs into other people's lives a lot. So I think something like that would be fun, We could watch Ancient Aliens and do some commentary. I've interviewed 90% of those people. I would love to make content with the software I have. I can pipe in any video. I can grab a YouTube video. I can grab a Facebook video and just hit the scene change, and it fires off. And then we have algorithms to deal with. But there's so many shows on Gaia. I would love to just play, and when someone says something powerful, I pause it, and you and I dialogue on this nugget bomb they dropped. But well, there's plenty to choose from. I mean,
Yeah.
we could even do, I mean, if people want that, I don't know if you're listening and you think that'd be a good idea, let us know. I think the commentary on things for people like you and I who have such a vast experience in talking to different people about different things, it makes it fun. And I actually think people would actually watch it.
And if we can't do it because of algorithm reasons, maybe we can give people homework. You know, everyone, Hillary Raimo's coming on Center of Light Radio. We're going to be discussing this particular documentary. Key points are, because you and I saw it, and so key points would be between time marker. It don't have to be that difficult. My point is,
No, I think
then
we
you
should
and I can take
play
notes.
random YouTube videos of
Yeah.
and do commentary. That would be fun. It actually would be different than what most people see. Everybody does kind of the same thing, you know. And I got into radio when you actually had to write a proposal and get approved by the network. And now anybody.
That's pretty much what I had to do to get to meet you the first time. I love it. Hillary, thank you, precious. It's good to see you.
Thanks for having me, Keith.
I love your passion. I love the fire that you have that lives in your belly.
Aw, thanks. I love my fire too.
Everyone, Hillary Raimo, I just dropped and am dropping again in the forum how to look for more of what she's doing, be involved in her life. Keith Anthony Blanchard here, Center of Light Radio. Dear Lord, I've been doing this a long time. Like Hillary. Let me turn on my background music so it makes me look cool. I like looking cool. I love you. I will be seeing you
Soon, somewhere.
Thursday night. I've asked people who have been watching my cave series in a state of spiritual samadhi. I was thinking about ending the series and people say, no, I like it. It's raw, it's organic, it's primordial, it's ancient. It helps to remind them of that vibration of their sacred self. Yanava, live in the light. You're living in the light already. You are radiated light. The light doesn't live in you. You are the light. Thank you, Hillary.
We are light. We don't.
You
have to
are
do
light.
anything
If you
to
weren't
make
the light,
ourselves
no
better.
one could see you, right?
But we're our shadow too. I mean, we're everything that makes us up, and I think we have to be more mindful of honoring and acknowledging that in ourselves and other people. Way too many expectations put on people to be a certain way, and we need to overcome that. Night, everyone.
How delicious is that? I was enjoying your meditative moments, sis. I love you. Peace.
Love you too.
Everyone,
Bye.
we will see you very soon. Hillary Raimo, tonight we're speaking about designing your inner landscape. It's your ambiance. It's your atmosphere. Are you good enough as a gardener? See, a real good gardener, he never digs up what he's planted to check to see if it's germinating. It would disturb the life cycle. Your vision, you create, you intend, use your ya, your heart, your will, use your na, your mind, your intellect, your discernment, your judgment in the right context, and your action, your va, your backbone. And you say, I'm a damn good gardener, and I'm planting this seed, and I will sow the seeds of love, and therefore I will reap and become a part of the meek, and we shall all inherit the earth. Peace, love, and live in the light. You are in it anyway. Why not just go with the program?